Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to North Reef City here on City Skylines, and welcome to a brand new residential district of the city. This, I actually can't remember what I named this one. For the record, I recorded this video, or the footage for this video, 3 weeks ago. So you will have to forgive me if I forget like everything that happened within it. Because basically I recorded this video, and it was supposed to be like a backup in case OpenTTD couldn't happen. I wanted to get this done, so at least it was ready, so that all I had to do was add a voiceover and it would go up. But then I had a real good burst of motivation and managed to get OpenTTD done, so this ended up not being needed, so I just held on to it till today. It was meant to be Friday, but you know how my work commitments are at the moment. But yeah, held on to it, and then completely forgot everything that I did. So I know the title, so I can work off that, Trees in Transit. So I know that, first of all, I do remember adding this residential district. We have a little park and ride car park here as well. I say little, it's typical North Reef style. It's like 5 times bigger than it needs to be, but it's future-proofed, and that's the main thing. This station here then is another park and ride station for the city. As you can see, it's massive. And yeah, it's just used by light rail and bus rapid transit, which hopefully we will add more lines to in the future for both modes there, and we'll be able to transport more people just around the city, to be honest. Just be able to transport more people. Oh yeah, this is where I realised, yeah, this is too big if it's 3, so I made it 2 instead. And then I did this weird triangle thing at both ends, which is, you know, it's fine. One of the things that bothers me still, and I'm seeing more people on Reddit talking about this now, is the whole random car stops in traffic trying to find somewhere to park and blocks the entire road. That is something I'm seeing a lot more of now in Reddit threads. There's definitely something going on with why that's happening. It could just be poor parking, but considering how smart the AI is meant to be with Traffic Manager, you know, the routing and everything, using the existing vanilla aspects of AI routing plus the Traffic Manager add-ons, you would think someone who's trying to go to the Central Zoo but lives in, I don't know, Whipton, would know to get on a bus from somewhere like here, drive to here, getting on a bus to the zoo, because this bus line, this bus rapid transit line, stops right outside the zoo. So it makes sense to do that. But for some reason, the AI isn't smart enough to know to do that, which I find really weird. But it is what it is. And we just have to roll with it. So yeah, this part of the city... Oh, yeah, I loved how I got those 2 spaces in. That was perfect. This part of the city, it's a new residential area primarily, but it does also involve the park and ride. And we see it connected up in a second. And that's basically this part of the city finished in terms of basic outline. There are still some bits that need doing in terms of, you know, making it look nicer and stuff like that, but right now in terms of basic outline, it is done. So this is the first part of today's episode. The second part involves adding some trees and bushes to the avenue that we built. I think it was like 2 episodes ago, I can't remember what it was, but the new light rail line that goes up to the central station. I add some tree lined avenues to that. Also, huge thanks to, who was it? Someone in the comments told me about, so I'm just trying to get it up on my phone, node controller, how you can actually make a node wider as well as longer and shorter. And it worked, which I was very, very happy about. It was... Leopolis, 3 weeks ago, yes. It says the option is there and it is called shift. Contrary to other options where you click on the actual road, shift and stretch need numbers to be entered in the node controller box. So it's kind of hidden away a little bit, but I'm very, very glad there are people out there who know that it exists, because it means that they can tell me, and therefore I know what I'm doing. So thank you very much, Leopolis. Apologies for butchering your name as well. He also says about the node can only have up to 8 connections to it, which is why the big star junction that I tried to build wouldn't work. So that might have to stay the way it is with the 2 junctions either side of the light rail system. But some of the other intersections can now be rebuilt, and I will do that off camera. I think I do one of them on camera today just to test it, but I do the others off camera just as a proof of concept, really. I'll do the others off camera just as a proof of concept, and see if I can improve the traffic flow through that part of the city, because at that point we don't need people doing U-turns, which will mean less people blocking up the roads, because my god, is that annoying. Traffic actually isn't so bad right now. I'm trying to look at the time of day on the screen. I think it's like 4 a.m, 5 a.m. So that does explain why. But I did simulate the game through an entire day, and traffic did get a little bit hectic in the rush hours, but otherwise it was pretty good. You know, our transport network is getting to a stage now where we are taking people off the road, which I'm very, very happy about. Having a single road section between 2 intersections can make vehicles drive around the block to just change lane. Can cause total gridlock. So yeah, I think that's to do with nodes as well. So I removed some of the nodes between 2 junctions, which meant people couldn't change lane. The idea of that is to try and make people change, like get into the right lane as they join the road, so they don't have to change lane. That was the theory behind it. In practice, it sort of works and it sort of doesn't. You know, more on that in the future as well. And then there's things like, you know, bottlenecks and stuff like that as well. U-turns sometimes look weird on big intersections, but likes the Boulevard Park. Thank you very much. Well, Boulevard Park is the bit that's going to be improved further today in the second part of this episode. So yeah, this is an extension of, is it Priory? River Priory? I can't remember what I called this area. I'm sure it has Priory in its name, and I can't remember why. I think I'd just come back from like Bewley or something, where the they got the old Priory there. So I was kind of inspired to give it a name with Priory in it. But yeah, I think this part of the city is coming together nicely. This is obviously a suburban section now. Normally, in the past, Reef Square, or what is now Reef Square, it was Guard Square in the previous city, would have been like the city centre. Whereas from the get-go here, I did not want that to be the case. And I'm kind of glad that I stuck with my guns on that one, because... stuck to my gun, sorry, on that one, because that would have been a bit disastrous had I gone with that plan still. So I am glad that I sort of shifted away from that, because we've now got the city zoo, which is part of the city centre. Plus, there are going to be other parks built in the future. I might sort of remove entire residential blocks and turn them into parks. I really want like a central park type area as well. My only problem with that right now is we are very, very close. The city centre is very, very close to the edge of the map. Way closer than I wanted it to be. And I could just use move it, select everything and shift it down a few places, but that's not really practical. So I will have to come up with a solution for that, which may involve just imagining that the city continues above the edge of the map. Which, you know, I have seen people do before. I've seen it on Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo and things like that before as well. So it's possible. It is possible. But we will see. Anyway, this part of the park and ride here, the car park, I'm going to put some paths around the outside like this to make it look nice with some tree-lined pathways, which I'm always a big fan of. I don't actually know if you can change the trees on the pathways in the same way that you can on the roads now. I haven't tried that. I wouldn't mind giving it a try. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the park and ride is coming together, and people now know, or should now know, that they can actually park here to take transit into the city. The city itself is just huge now. There's so many people living there. There's so many people working there. You can see that there's a real impetus to get people in and out of the city. And I do rename... Oh, it's River Priory. There we go. I just saw it there. Rename the stops as well. This is the reason why I'm doing it. You can see this annoying thing where cars just stop in the middle of the road. So that is why I am doing it right now. And I'm checking parking to see whether or not I've made a mistake. And I don't think I've made a mistake. I think it's just the way the game works. Sometimes it does this weird thing. This is me also proving that node controller now works. You see I extend these bits here and then I shift the road out. Look at that. And then I remove the extra nodes that are causing problems, and boom, it works, and I love it. That is exactly what I had in mind when I started doing this. This is what I wanted it to look like. Now, obviously, it's a bit of a derpy looking junction right now because it just comes to a dead end, but eventually it will continue off into the distance. And I think if I've done my maths right, if I add the rest of the main road here, this will be the 7th and 8th connections, which means I won't be able to add anything extra, which is fine because I don't think there's anything extra that I would want to add anyway. There is another video actually on YouTube that I've not watched yet to do with priority signals for trams, and I assume it applies to buses as well. I will give that a watch at some point just to check that what I've done here is what you're supposed to do to get priority junctions working. Because, you know, I want light rail vehicles to have priority over everything else, including buses, to be honest, because they can shift more people. So it'd be good to get as many people moving around as possible. I'm also going to change what vehicles run on this line right now. Somewhere I want to have an old town, and in that old town I will have these tram vehicles operate because they look like heritage trams. Whereas on this bit, I think I want it to be more modern still. I like modern. I like modern with a touch of heritage, if that makes sense at all. Probably doesn't, but what can you do? So this is the tree-lined avenue that I was talking about. Now, I haven't decided on a thumbnail at this point, but it could be part of this here. The reason I don't know yet is because I have used a thumbnail of this street before, so I don't want to use the same one twice, even though it has changed a little bit. I do kind of want to shake things up some as well. This tree line tool, the prop line tool, is an absolute genius move from whoever created it, and it's a real time saver. So I'm very, very grateful to whoever that was. It's just very nice to use. Moving the tram platforms down a little bit closer to the station there as well. I don't like the way I've built that station. I kind of want to rebuild it, but I don't know how. So I'll come to that at some point in the future as well, I'm sure. Now everything along this section is quite linear. You know, the bushes are quite straight, the tree lines are quite straight. I do add some curves, in fact I think that was one there. But overall it's very, very linear. Which, again, where I grew up, not far from Welwyn Garden City, there's a street called Parkway in Welwyn Garden City. And it literally is a dead straight road for about 1.5 miles, I think, or a mile. Somewhere between a mile and a mile and a half. It's a dead straight road. And there are lines of trees that just go dead straight down it. So it's not unrealistic to do this. It's just a little boring in places. Because, you know, here in the UK, we don't have many towns and cities with dead straight roads. At least not for long distances. We've got the old Roman roads that pass through towns and cities. And at those points, you know, we might have straight roads. But it's kind of a misconception that Roman roads were built dead straight. They weren't built dead straight. They were built reasonably straight. They had straight sections, but overall they did have, you know, curves and slopes and things like that. I think the idea with the Roman roads was to try and build them as directly as possible, not necessarily as straight as possible. Because if you're going straight through a hill, for example, that's not as easy to navigate as, or straight over a hill, sorry, as if you went round it. It might add like an extra, you know, mile to the journey, but you might still get there 10 minutes faster. The Romans were pretty smart people. They knew what they were doing, for the most part. And yeah, I'm just experimenting with different tools at this point because I've only used the prop line tool, you know, fairly sporadically in the past. I don't think I used it at all in New Guard City. So here, I'm just, you know, exploring my options and just building these lines of dead straight bushes. Also, Control Z seems to undo things now, which I don't think it did before. And I don't know if that's a mod or whether that's the game, but it's kind of cool that that exists now too. But I did a driver's eye view of this route after I finished recording this episode, and it's very, very pretty, very, very pretty. And this does make me want to build some. This is the section where the thumbnail was going to be, the purple trees here, lilac trees, whatever you want to call them. I can't really see very well right now because I've got lights shining off my screen, but very pretty trees. Big fan of those. You can imagine what this road would be called. It'd be something like, you know, Lavender Road or Lavender Lane or, I don't know, Beautiful Boulevard. I literally spitballing. And I've also forgotten what I was saying, so that's good. But yeah, this whole episode, this whole section of this episode was about experimenting and just finding out what looks good and what doesn't look good. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is definitely inspiring me to build more like central parks and things like that, little green spaces around the city. Not necessarily parks as in using the Park Life DLC with gates and attractions and things like that, but just green open areas where people can walk through or cycle through or in this case, take a tram through, and just enjoy an afternoon. I would put some actual parks down as well. So like little, the tennis courts or the little tree-lined plazas with fountains and stuff. So not the park. Oh yeah, I messed up the game here. So I think I had to save and reload or something like that. I think at this point I decided to stop using the prop line tool because it just kept messing up. I chose a hedge, guys. That's all I did was I chose a hedge and it just completely messed up the game. So that's not very good. So I gave up at that point and started looking at something else. One other thing, that I wanted to talk about was... building more parks. That's kind of what I was in the middle of talking about as well. So just giving people an actual excuse to come visit these places. Now, I know there's invisible plazas that you can place down that encourages people to come over. Could do that as well. Plus, actual city landmarks, because I think most of the landmarks I've placed so far, I've used realistic population to turn them into offices and housing. So it would be good to actually have some actual landmarks for people to come visit. And obviously build them close to transit stops so that people can get there easy as well. But yeah, I like that park and ride. I think it's coming along nicely. I do also realise here that I messed up when I built the light rail line, because it was supposed to. I've got these trams that have like crashed underground as well. I've no idea what's happened there. You see, I rebuilt the track and they're still there. So I don't know what I've done there. I'm sure I can use the remove all vehicles tool and it'll probably go through and do that properly. But yeah, I had this extra branch line which was supposed to be for trains or trams, light rail vehicles, travelling in this opposite direction. So I came through and built that bit. I think it all worked. I think I checked it. But yeah, the light rail does some weird things sometimes, and those vehicles that are just trapped underground, I can't even remember what caused that. I think I just removed the track while they were travelling across it when I had the game paused, and then I unpaused the game and they just stayed there, and they've been there ever since. It's kind of annoying. Something else that's kind of annoying, you saw me use it there, is the level the slope tool as part of I don't know what mod that is actually, but you can see that. Oh, do I remove it here? I might have just removed it there, or I might have just done a clean slate. Removed all the public transport vehicles. But you saw there, I used the slope tool and it didn't level the slope. There's something about the last bit of the slope where it doesn't auto fix itself. Like it doesn't follow the same gradient as everything else, which is really, really annoying, to be honest with you. Really, really annoying. But yeah, we've done the trees. We've done the new park and ride residential area. Now it's time to do the transit. We are building our first underground line of the city. In fact, we're not building the first one. We're building the first 2 underground lines. Now, I've tried to build this as future-proofed as possible so that it won't change much between now and, the end of the series. But you know me. I always like to tinker and tweak. So there is a possibility that some things may change still. But I did try to build this as functional and as efficient as possible, shall we say. So we've got some stations in key locations. We've obviously got the one at Reef Square connected to the heavy rail. We've got one there at River Priory, which I think is River Priory North, is what it's going to be called. I wanted to build one down by the park and ride, but I thought there's no point because you can't just have trams, buses, and metro constantly interchanging with one another. You will have to have some areas where that doesn't happen. So you see there, I build the station there, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Wouldn't it make more sense to build it in the residential area here, and actually have people be able to walk to it easier? So I do move it. We've got one here just before the river. We've got one the other side of the river that connects up with the ferry terminal and the bus terminal there. I am tempted to build a tram line down there still, but not quite worked out how to do that yet, so that's kind of on the back burner right now. I'm having a right mare trying to get this. There we go. Trying to get this platform in the right place. I love the metro overhaul, being able to like turn platforms and stuff. That's really cool as well. So we've got a station at the zoo, but we've got it at the opposite end of the zoo to the current transit connections. We've got one over here at Tradeway, which is now called the Spiral. It's not called Tradeway anymore. The road's still called Tradeway, but the station has been renamed the Spiral. And then we've got one well, there's one inside the central station, and then there's one just outside of the central station. You can almost imagine that's like a King's Cross or a Euston, where different stations for different railway companies were built at different times, and it's since been amalgamated into a single station. So in London, you can travel from, you know, the Circle Metropolitan and Hammersmith and City platforms at King's Cross St Pancras to, say, the Northern Line platforms. But back in the day, you would have had to have come up to the surface, along and down again, because they were separate railway companies. But since then, you know, things have changed. The connection here from Reef Square, don't read too much into that right now. I don't like it. I want to change it. I just wanted to get this in and working, basically. But you can start to see how the metro in this city will work. It is, for the most part, direct as possible. So the lines are pretty straightforward. They run under roads in certain cases, not directly under roads, obviously, because the snapping doesn't work very well in this game, but they run pretty close to existing roads, above and below. And this extra platform here is the reason why I wasn't a fan of what I did here. I think what I will do to fix this is the lower platform on the screen right now. I think out of there, I'll have it turn sharply downwards and cross the main road there. And then I'll have it run through the residential. In fact, I think here it's commercial, isn't it? Have it run through there on elevated track. And then we won't have to do what I'm about to do here, which is this really weird S-bend around. So I wanted to dive it underground here, but the slope didn't look very realistic. So I ended up building this weird S-curve there. And then here is where we tunnel underground. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think it looks really stupid. But that's what we do for now. Eventually I will, of course, go and change this. Now I'm saying it out loud. I kind of want to change it now, but I've got other plans today, so I can't do that. And then, yeah, I chose the classic track for the elevated bit here, because you can imagine, especially with the station style here as well at Reef Square, you can imagine this was one of the first sections built. And even though they rebuilt it in the future, you know, or over time, they kept the original style for heritage reasons. I think that's a pretty cool backstory myself, so that's what I'm sticking with. This section here, where it goes from elevated to level and then level to underground, I really don't like that. So luckily you can change that, which is what I've done. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. And then, yep, there's it all leveled out. Again, that one worked. Some work, some don't. I don't get it. We got lots of different gradients around this part of the city as well. But again, I suppose it's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world. And then try to remember what else I do in this bit. I think at this point I'm just doing gradients and stuff like that. There is a weird bit here under the river that I do fix as well, because I noticed it immediately and fixed it. It's to do with, oh, you saw there as well, that annoying thing with the... It's supposed to be level, guys. It's supposed to be a level gradient, but it just isn't. And you'll see in a second, the metro tunnel actually sticks out above the level of the water, which is not supposed to happen either. So I do go and fix that. And then we do run under the river to the other side where downtown used to be before I decided to bring it onto this peninsula instead. And that's kind of my favourite bit, because the Metro Plaza, that huge Metro Plaza I built many eons ago, finally gets connected up. We end up with this circular route. So I've got this... Oh yeah, I fixed the problem with the metro here as well. So we've got this this like very circuitous, that's probably not how you say it, circular route, I'm just going to say circular route, that starts at the Metro Plaza. It goes across the river, through the city centre, past the zoo. It then goes up to the main station here, that you're seeing, the central station. And then from here it runs as a 4-track, not 2, back under the river, and back to the Metro Plaza. And then from the Metro Plaza here, it runs down to where the light rail connects with the bus at that yet to be finished terminal, which will get finished soon, and it will be glorious, I promise. That's actually going to be sort of the last city centre stop before the light rail starts to head out towards the airport, because I think I know where the airport is going to be now. I have a fair idea. It's just a case of actually building it in. But yeah, this is kind of the main section of the metro, and I will add some more stations where it's a central, not central platform, sorry. There's platforms either side, and then a central through section where trains won't stop. And then we can have express services and stopping services. I think that'd be a good way of doing it, personally. And then I've got these like grade separated junctions everywhere, which we all know I love to build. And something else that I do is, so the metro depot right now that I've built is very, very temporary. There will be a better one built in the future. I will have somewhere around the city where all my light rail vehicles, all my tram vehicles, all my bus vehicles, and all of my metro vehicles will be based. It'll be a huge central depot, and we'll have fake sidings, fake, bus maintenance facilities, the lot, and it'll look really, really good. Until that's built, we've got these messy temporary things. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't particularly like them. I don't think they work very well. They look horrendous, but it is what it is, and we could just get on with it. That's the best thing to do right now, is just get on with it, and we'll make it work. But these grade separated junctions is one I build that I am planning on running revenue earning trains through it as well, but it was built primarily to allow trains from the depot to access all lines, and I think it looks pretty cool. So as I said, we got two lines that we end up building. The first one is the circular one that I talked about just now. Starts at the plaza, ends at the plaza. Well, technically no, starts at the plaza, ends down at the interchange. I think that interchange does get a name now as well, and I think that plaza just got named as well. Was it Woodbridge, something like that? I can't remember what that section of the city is called, but it's Wood something, and that's what the plaza gets named. There's the circular route. You just saw it get finished there. We also connect up, so the zoo is now served by trains in both directions, I believe. Is it the zoo? Actually, it might not be the zoo. It might be the ferry that has trains in both directions. Do you know what? I genuinely can't remember what I did. But this is the grade separated bit I was talking about that allows trains from the depot to access both lines. Because we've got this north-south running line as well that comes along. And again, it's not the most attractive line I've ever built, this one, but it serves its purpose. And when you're on the train, like, you think about it, if you're an actual commuter on board a train, it's dark. You can't see where you are. You can't see which part of the tunnel you're in. You have no idea whether or not, you're going around a tight curve or whatever. You don't know where you are in relation to the lines above you or below you, so there's no point worrying about it. As long as it looks reasonably decent from above, there's nothing to worry about. So I think it's fine, personally. But that's just my opinion. And I also extend the 4 tracks out of the main station to this junction here as well. So as you can see, this will be for revenue earning trains as well, because it forms part of the outer branch. Got there in the end. And then, just fixing some nodes, switching around some nodes. We sort out the junctions in a second as well. That node there looked really weird, but I have checked it underground and it seems to be fine, so I'm not too worried there. And you can see it's right below the main road here. So for brief moments, we do have these tracks running underneath the main roads, which I think is pretty cool. And we sort out the platforms here as well. So the outer tracks obviously serve the outer platforms, the inner tracks serve the inner platforms. I am tempted to have it be more than just that, maybe having some switchovers as well. But right now, that works fine. And then we've got the 2 platforms there where the main line runs through. And then we've got these junction connections as well. In terms of the line names, I think they're literally UG1 and UG2 right now. UG obviously standing for underground. Do we connect up? Oh, I might actually connect up the arena here as well. That might be something that happens. Do I do that? Something tells me I do that, but I can't remember. We might end up with several circles running around the city as well. It's just something I thought would be easy to do. Again, those circles can be split at any point and turned into more spoke type lines. Forgot what I was saying then. So we'll have one that runs from like the far east of the city right the way through the city centre and out to the far west, which is kind of what this circle route here will end up doing, but it will take a little route through the city on the way. I am also thinking, so I've been watching videos about, I think it's Sydney's commuter rail system, Melbourne's commuter rail system, and also Chicago's L. And I am kind of inspired to do something similar to that, where you have a like a central circle in the city that all of your, in my case, underground trains would use. And I'm actually leaning towards that as being a good idea. So that big circle that we've built might end up being 4 tracks, and it might have several junctions branching off it. Might have some more stations added to it as well. And the more I'm saying this, the more I want to do this, actually. So that could end up being something for a future episode. But yeah, the idea there would be, trains join and leave at several different locations around the loop, and then travel around the loop to wherever it is they're going, basically. Depot's connected up. Depot is ugly as hell. Depot will get rebuilt and moved because I don't like it. The gradients here, there was something that wasn't working with the route here. I had to rebuild some of it to make it functional. I don't know what happened there either. It was annoying though, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, by the end of this episode, everything does work and it's all well and good. I had to rebuild the line underneath the river here as well, the 4-tracker, because it had this weird, it was like a roller coaster drop. Suddenly, between 2 nodes, it just nosedived. So I did go and redo that as well. I think the second route... Oh, my phone just buzzed. What on earth is that? I think the second route I build in this city is the one from Reef Square, actually. And it runs up to the city centre station. In fact, that's the first route I build. Well, there you go. So it starts at Reef Square. It stops at the 2 River Priory stations. It then goes through the zoo and then back to the city centre station, and then back. And that's it done. The park and ride there doesn't really work with the underground. It wasn't designed to work with the underground. But what I might do in the future is build an actual railway station there. Because I've not worked that hard on the commuter rail recently either. And I've got some plans for how that will work too, including a line that will run out to the airport. So I will get on with that at some point. But yeah, this is route number 2, which starts at the interchange, like I said, goes right the way around the city via the plaza to the plaza, and then runs back. This one is popular. There's like 500 people at times waiting at the stations, so it's certainly heavily served. And that's UG2. UG1 is the more direct one. You can actually see trains running out of the depot now to run along those routes, which is fantastic because it means it all works. Need to water it, need to power it, but otherwise it's all good. And that does it for this episode, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series so far. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. I really appreciate people suggesting ideas that they'd like to see. Apart from that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.